Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band's reviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I've been really busy with doing interviews, so if you are a fan of those, check those out. There's a playlist where you can watch all of them in a row if you feel so inclined. I'll also be doing an album review of Selfish Things' newest record, as well as a good friend of ours, Kelly Faith, and as well as that Chronologist put an acoustic EP out. So you should go check them out as well. Tons of stuff, live sets hopefully to be recorded and put up very soon. So check back with the channel for those. But tonight we're going to be talking about Capstan's newest record, Restless Heart, Keep Running. So I want to give a huge shout out to Adam Splitter. They sent me almost all of Fearless's stuff, so I want to give them some love. And also shout outs to my man Jesse. He was the one who introduced me to this band a couple years back, and it's cool to see them grow as a band. If you'd like me to review their older material, let me know in the comments below. I'll definitely I've already listened to them already, but if you want me to do like a quickie review of all of them, let me know. Love to do that. But if you haven't heard of Capstan, they're a band from Florida. They kind of culminate a lot of like post-hardcore progressive music and like some pop punk here and there, but it's really eclectic music. And when they announced that they were doing a full length, I was really excited to give it a listen and check it out. So I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts and opinions on it, go through some pros and cons, and then finish it out with an overall rating. So the first track is called An Open Door. This is very much an intro track. It has some really cool arrangements to it. It's basically just piano and strings. There's no vocals, there's no guitar, there's no drumming, there's no bass, which is really cool. You know, I love when bands kind of do that real kind of like interlude-y intro stuff. I know Silent Planet does it very well, so I feel like they took kind of a page out of their book. But give this one a listen, and I think it really kind of, you know, gives you an idea of, you know, generally of how the record kind of starts. There is some piano, there is some strings in further tracks down the record, so it was nice to point that out at the beginning and kind of get you an idea. So we're going to move into track number 2, which is Abstracted. This is the first real track of real music, but this one is one of my favorites. I love the guitar work. I think just how it meshes with the piano in the intro, I thought was very awesome. I think this is a great song to start off the record with. It's very strong right out the gate. It really gets you started. I love the harmonies kind of sprinkled throughout. I think Boz and Anthony do a great job of kind of filling each other's roles in certain respects. I know Anthony does a lot of screaming, but he also does some cleans, and I know Boz does a lot of, like, you know, of the clean vocals. So it was cool to hear that in more of a studio setting as opposed to a live setting, which was awesome as well too in its own right. But it's cool to hear them do that like production aspect of it. The guitar work is some of my favorite guitar work coming out of any band recently. I just feel like they're very inventive with how they structure just either the melody or just the kind of rhythmic patterns. I think it is just really well executed. It has a technicality to it, like I had mentioned earlier, being more from the progressive background. And if you want to get more information from them, I did an interview with them a little while ago where they talked about kind of their influences being like Between the Buried and Me, like August Burns Red, things of that nature. And I feel like it's very evident in the type of music that they write, but it's also very melodic. And I think one of the big things that impressed me on this song in particular is the drumming. There's a few other tracks that I feel like the drumming is just like bananas, but I think the biggest selling point of this band is just the way that they're able to concoct choruses. I think they're really super catchy, and probably one of my favorite parts of this song is between the 2 minutes and 30-second mark to around the 3-minute mark. I think that is super awesome. You should definitely give that part a listen. as well as just the whole song in general. And I love the solo at the end. I think they really add a level of technicality to it. There are definitely some awesome solos in this entire record that you should give a listen to. So we're going to move into track number 3, which is Fix. This is the most recent single that they had released at the time. The album is out, so you can go give it a listen as well. But I love the high energy of this track. I think it really bleeds well into Abstract, or Abstract bleeds well into Fix, which is one of the reasons why I think I like it a lot, just kind of keeping that same energy. The chorus is another fantastic one. I think that this record is filled with some really awesome, interesting, unique choruses that I feel like a lot of bands kind of, I wouldn't even say stray away from, but they really bring a unique aspect to what they do. I love the divergent vocal melodies in this song. I think it really makes a unique kind of juxtaposition to the song as well. And as I had mentioned earlier, I love the sort of underlying prog elements throughout this track, just with Harrison kind of doing some really cool guitar riffs, and I think it just really works with what they're going for as well. The drumming on this track is really awesome. There's some really awesome kind of ghost notes throughout the song that I feel like represent their more prog elements, and I think that Anthony does a great job on his vocal parts. There's this nice gritty tonality to it, and I think it really makes the song that much better. So we're going to move into track number 4, which is We'll Always Have Paris. This is the second single that had been released. They released a music video with this one, and this one is also a favorite of mine. If you're noticing a trend, you'll probably know how I feel about this record already, but this one feels the most melodic so far. I liked the intro a lot. It has this real kind of like auto-tuned harmonic like harmonies going on, which I thought was really interesting, and just the way that they were able to phrase that out, I thought was very cool. The chorus was awesome. I loved the structure, the chord phrasing in this track. I thought it was very, very interesting. I love the sort of like kind of the more like happy chords, and then it goes into more of a like melodic kind of like sad phrasing as well. I know a lot of bands that do that. Are My Chemical Romance is one of the ones that comes to mind right off the bat, where they're kind of able to change this sort of melodic major to maybe a more melodic minor, which is definitely cool, and I don't think a lot of bands really do that too often in the type of music that we have going out here. I think this one, in comparison to a lot of the other tracks off the record, I'd say definitely more so on the reserve side, which isn't a bad thing because there are some really intense songs in this record, which is really cool. The vocals really make the song. I think that is definitely the highlight of the record, especially this song in particular. I think the vocals really are a standout. I think Anthony, again, does a great job of holding the reins, and I think Boz does a great job of kind of following him up in certain parts of the song. There's this really cool kind of key change at the 2 minutes and 55-second mark toward the end of the song, and I think it really ends it in a really cool kind of crescendo way. The band that kind of sticks out to me that I feel like a lot of you don't know is PM Today. They are signed. They used to be signed to Rise, and I feel like there's a lot of like, you know, guitar writing. There's a lot of melodic similarities to what they do, and if I get any opportunity to talk about the band, I try to. But it definitely feels that like PM Today-esque sound, and I love that because that definitely needs to come back. And yeah, I really like this track a lot. I think it's one you should definitely go give a listen to if you haven't already. So we're going to move into track number 4, which is I'll Bury the Hatchet When They Bury You. This one, again, another favorite of mine, but this one feels more techy. I feel like they definitely took more of a technical approach to this track. The kind of dueling guitar parts are really sick. I think they work out super well, and I think Harrison does a great job of kind of fulfilling the leads on this song. There's some little like ambient parts of lead guitar in the chorus as well, which I think adds a nice little atmosphere to the song as well. But I think this one just has a cool rhythmic pattern to it, and it is one that kind of sticks out to me in that respect in that song. Also, the inclusion of piano as well is a nice callback to not only the intro track but a few other tracks off this record as well. And again, another really solid track, and also one of my favorites as well. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is Indelible. This one is also a favorite of mine as well. The atmosphere of this song just is awesome. I think this one is primarily one of my favorites, just in the top 5 for sure, just because it's so different. It's a nice change of pace. It's not just like one of those just like four-fronted heavy tracks. I really feel like they tried to do something different, and I think they succeeded. There's this really nice ambience to it that just adds like a subtle layer to their overall sound. I also love the inclusion of saxophone. I thought that was really awesome. There's another track that they include sax on, being the last track of the record. And I think it is just a nice touch. I love hearing that. I know a very popular band now, the Midnight, has a saxophone player, and I think it's just well used, well executed, and I like how the song kind of picks up at around the 1 minute and 18-second mark. The tempo changes, and I love just the switch off between Anthony and Boz. I think it is really tight. The guitar work is very awesome as well too. Again, anytime I get to point out some really fantastic guitar work, I try to. But this one was just, again, off the wall, just a little bit different from some of the previous tracks, and is probably the reason why I love it the most. So we're going to move into track number 7, which is There Is No Answer. This is another single that they had released. I think it was after We'll Always Have Paris, which is definitely cool. But this one, I feel like, kind of follows up Indelible very well. It's a little bit more melodic. It's a little bit softer. I love that the bass is a little bit more prominent in this track as well. And I also feel like the softer side brings out a lot of their more melodic tendencies. And I think it plays off of their more ambient, more open sort of sound. And I think you can hear that in the instrumentation. It's just a little bit more spread out. It's not just like real aggressive, real in your face, which I definitely appreciate. I liked Anthony's performance in this track. I think this is one of my favorite songs that he has on the record so far. In terms of vocal performance, you can just hear kind of the hurt in his voice, and just the way he goes about singing the lyrics in this track, which is awesome. I love the harmonies, especially in the second chorus. I think they executed it super well, and is one of those, I think, under the radar sort of tracks that I feel like a lot of people will, I wouldn't even say glaze over, but won't be as impressed by, just be considering like all of the other tracks just kind of more at the forefront. This one feels a little bit more reserved, and I think that's why I like it the most. So we're going to move into track number 8, which is Terminal. This one is, again, a favorite of mine. This whole record, I'm just going to go out and say it, this whole record is my favorite. All of the songs are just really just out of the park awesome. But getting back to Terminal, I really love the riffs in this song. I think that Harrison and Joseph, I think, really are just fantastic guitar players. They're able to concoct some awesome melodies, some awesome riffs, and I think this one has a lot of awesome guitar work in it. It reminds me a lot of August Burns Red, and I have a lot of heart for them. I think they're one of my favorite bands, and they're one of those bands that I grew up listening to, and I think I can hear a lot of similarities in terms of how they write. I think it is just formulated really well, and it just feels original. And I think some of the transitions in this track are just awesome. I love how Harrison and Joseph kind of traverse that along with their drummer. I think he is just a beast. Scott, you're awesome. I love the just arrangement of kind of the blast beats into kind of more of like the drums. I think it's just the technical prowess that they take in a lot of these songs are just well constructed and just well worked out. So we're gonna move into track number 9, which is Agenic State. This one is just off the wall crazy. If you're expecting just a real technical, real heavy, real fast paced, real interesting track, then this is the one to go for, because I am just floored by this one. I think Scott is an absolute beast on this track. I would say this is by far his best track. He's just really got some otherworldly drumming skills on this track. It's super heavy, but at the same time, I think it's equally as catchy as well. And I think that when I listen to some tracks, I find that, some of the heavier tracks aren't as catchy, and I feel like this one definitely has that catchy vibe to it, but also is just equally technically impressive as well. So if there was one track that I'd recommend to you guys, is definitely this one. It's just so off the wall crazy. If you want one that just so unique, so different, give this one a listen too. So we're going to move into track number 10, which is Stars Before the Sun. I believe this is the first single that they released off their debut record, and this one I really enjoyed as well. I think this one has a really cool acoustic guitar intro, and I love how Boz and Anthony kind of blend together. I think it is really well executed, and I think that their voices mesh together just works out so well. Definitely toned down in comparison to Agenic State, like I had mentioned before, but I think the melodies in this song are really infectious, and this is a song that I know I definitely come back to. I would say more specifically in the 2 minutes and 5 second mark to around the 2 minutes and 22 second mark. I think is very awesome, and probably my favorite part is the bridge. I just love how they did a lot of these sort of not only melodic changes but also just kind of rhythmic patterns. I think that they just traversed it so well, and I think it came out beautifully. So definitely give this one a listen if you haven't already. It's been out the longest, but I think it is held up the best in terms of all of the songs so far. So we're going to move into track number 11, which is Hideaway. This is the quote-unquote acoustic track, but I think that they were able to do it differently. They included a lot of cool elements, for example, acoustic guitar, violin, mandolin. There's just this kind of almost folky, kind of almost country bluegrassy kind of feel to it, and I think there's just a level of crispness to it whenever I hear an acoustic track. I think it is the most stripped down that you'll hear from the vocalists, Anthony and Boz, and I think they work out super well in this track, just despite being kind of a more slower acoustic track. I think they really kind of keep the intent of the listener, and I think it works out well. No, nothing met, nothing moved. Definitely a solid track, and I think it combines a lot of great aspects to Capstan. In general, it has some really awesome layered vocals that are really tight. I think instrumentally, it reminds me a lot of Dance Gavin Dance, which is really cool. And I just love this sort of rhythmic changing. It has some really sort of heavy parts, but also has some really melodic bass parts as well. And I think that the way that they were able to concoct it in the song works out really well, and is one that I think again, kind of blends a lot of different elements of Capstan that you've grown to know and love. So we're going to move into the last track, track number 13, which is The Love That Remains. This one, I think, starts off very melodic and is definitely different from what people... I guess it's not really different. I think it's very much in their lane, and as well as that, I think the inclusion of saxophone that they brought back is definitely nice. I love when bands kind of reutilize that sort of tool, and I think it also interconnects the record in a unique way. It also has, again, a progressive element to it, but it also is very melodic as well. And I think this one just really hits on all cylinders. It's one of those songs that I feel like if you want to kind of get an idea of what Capstan sounds like, I would definitely give this one a listen. It has kind of all of the elements throughout the entire record. It has some techie moments. It has some really melodic moments. It has some awesome moments of great choruses, great vocals, whether it's screaming or singing. And I think they just really, ended it off on a strong note as well, and is definitely one that you should go give a listen to. So some pros and cons. I don't have any cons for this record. I think this is pretty close to perfection for me. I'm just curious how they're going to follow it up. I would attribute this to very much the Artifacts Pareo record of me for this year. It is just one of those ones that I feel like is inventive, it's unique. There's elements of heavy, there's soft elements throughout, there's melodic moments, there's techie moments. It just really kind of covers the gambit. And as a band that is just so just, you know, has so many different elements to pull from, I was really just super floored and impressed by this record, from front to back. There really is not a bad song off this record, and you know, I was just surprised at how all of them were really catchy, really infectious, and by the time, you know, I got around to the third like listen through, I was already like singing along, you know, remembering the melodies, remembering the parts. And I think that is probably the biggest reason why, you know, I love this record the most, is just because it is so memorable. It's, you know, unforgettable, and it's a great ride from start to finish. And every time that I cycled through and I got back to the end and I got back to the beginning again, I was equally as pumped from the first listen to the 20th listen. So if that doesn't say anything, then I don't I don't know what else to tell you. But my overall rating for Capstan's Restless Heart, Keep Running, I'm going to be giving it a 9.8 out of 10. One of the, definitely easily in top 10 for this year. They are an underrated band that you should definitely go give a listen to. The album came out on Friday, so you should go give it a listen. Links in the description where you can find out about Capstan. Please go check out the record. Seriously, if there was one that I would push the most, is definitely this one. If you're a fan of like progressive music, if you're a fan of post-hardcore, if you're a fan of pop punk, even if you're a fan of metalcore, gent even, I feel like there is something for everybody on this record, and it is just one that I am not afraid to scream from the rooftops. So let me know in the comments what you think about this record. If you agree, if you disagree, I'd love to know your opinions on it. And if you enjoyed this review, make sure to like, share, subscribe. It goes a long way. Thanks, of course, to Adam Splitter and Capstan for sending me this record over early. I greatly appreciate it. And go check out Capstan. They're doing a headliner tour with Never Kept, Bill Murray, Rarity, which they also put out a fantastic record, and I feel like I'm missing somebody else, but if not, I will maybe put the tour flyer somewhere around here. So go check them out on tour. It's going to be awesome. They're also going out with the Bayside. Congrats, guys, and going out with Bayside as well. So this band is always touring, so go check them out live. They are awesome live to see as well. And like I said, my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon.
Hey
Peace.
guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.